Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the public board meeting to order for Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Mrs. Byrne, roll call, please.
Mr. Parentano.
Here.
Mr. Allen.
Present.
Mrs. Bowman.
Here.
Mrs. Boyle.
Here.
Mrs. Hallenbeck. Mrs. Hallenbeck.
Present.
There you go.
Mr. Kovitz.
Here.
Mr. Marrington.
Here.
Mr. Cirillo.
Here.
And Mr. Sullivan.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening's special action item, continuation of the suspension of policy number 006.1. Whereas the World Health Organization and the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention have declared a novel coronavirus a public health emergency of international concern, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary has declared that COVID-19 creates a public health emergency, and whereas Governor Wolf did on September 1, 2020, extend his declaration of disaster emergency throughout the Pennsylvania for a period of 90 days. And whereas Board Policy 001, attendance at meetings via electronic communications, was approved and adopted by the district on October 24, 2017, in accordance with the Pennsylvania School Code and local district guidelines, providing for only one board member to attend by telecommunication or electronic communication. And whereas Board Policy 003 permits the board to suspend a board policy in circumstances where there are extenuating circumstances due to health and safety emergency in the school community, and then therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy School Board of Directors hereby approves the temporary suspension of policy 006.1 until further notice, so as to remove the maximum number of board members permitted to participate in the board meeting via electronic communication teleconferencing and count towards a quorum, to remove the requirement that a quorum be physically present. A motion? A motion's been made. May I have a second? Second by Mr. Sullivan. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. The executive session statement. An executive session of the board was held on the evening of Friday, August 7th, 2020. The executive session involved the health and safety reopening plan in relation to COVID-19 as permitted under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, and allow executive sessions for the purposes of emergency preparedness and public safety. Prior to this meeting, the board also held an executive session where we discussed matters of health and safety, litigation, employment and labor relations. Any announcements, Mrs. Burns?
No announcements.
Superintendents Report. Dr. McGee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Parentano. What I'd like to do over the next couple of minutes is to discuss where we've been and where we're going, and the recommendation of the administration, the cabinet that's in front of the board tonight, to move us from the remote model and Plan C to the blue-red hybrid model, which is Plan B. Mr. Stanley, may I have the PowerPoint, please? Chris. All right. So reviewing where we've been, Plan A is to get all students in school every day. That is still our ultimate goal. Plan B, which we're proposing we move to, is a blue-red 2 days in school, 3 days online plan. We're presently in Plan C, which is all remote learning via Canvas and Zoom. And then Plan D is the opt-out for a family that does not want Plan A or B, if and when we ultimately move there. The difference between Plan A and Plan B is basically distance. Plan B allows us 6 feet between desks in the lunchroom and in the classrooms. Plan A reduces that distancing to, if all students come to school, 3 feet. So that's basically the difference and the struggle between those two plans. So here's the big picture. We started September in Plan C all online. The goal was if we could not move to Plan B, we would improve Plan C by adding additional synchronous learning to it. Presently, we're only doing it on Fridays. We would have expanded that to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If we were able to, which is the decision in front of you tonight, to move to Plan B, blue-red hybrid, in October, the plan would be, if we cannot get out of that model, to enhance the online days to be live streaming. That's actually what we ended up doing in advancing the November model if we were stuck in hybrid 2 now, and I'll explain a little of that in a bit. Things going well, it's hopefully by the end of this month we'll be able to consider the possibility of bringing all students back in Plan A. Again, the significant difference there is the distancing, which eliminates the 6 feet and reduces it to 3 feet if all students come back. Busing opt-out. The numbers are not where they were on the initial surveys, but it gets us through the hybrid plan well. So if all students who chose to take a bus, their parents chose to put them on a bus, take a bus, if we adopt for hybrid, it'll be approximately 1 per seat. There may be some buses that a few kids sit 2 per seat. The Pennsylvania Department of Health and the Department of Education say we should put no more than 2 per seat on a bus. So for the hybrid mode, we will be fine with that, even though the opt-outs did not come to the point that we thought they would be after I put all the conditions of opting out in there. The Plan D of the Neshaminy School District Virtual Academy is still there. We've changed the rules a bit. It used to be the entire year plan. We're going to let parents out of that commitment because of the enhancement or the change in the other Plan D plan. So the Neshaminy Virtual Academy remains the full asynchronous option, the most flexible option for those who want the full asynchronous experience for the longest period of time. And then what people have affectionately decided to call D1, it's the Neshaminy plan. That was supposed to be, they lose their present teachers, they lose their electives, and they would be taught by Neshaminy teachers taking an extra class. That did not materialize in 2 ways, and solving that problem led us to our solution that we're at now. So that's kind of the big picture and the decision in front of you. So where have we been, and why is the Cabinet, myself, and the administration recommending that we move to hybrid? Over the month of October, we began with parent walkthroughs, and then over the course of the month, we brought students in small groups and tried our practices, talked to them, explained to them, to the point today, our final group of 4th graders, the blue team, had their orientation day. So as a result of those days and the month of September, we feel confident that we can do what we said we were going to do, that the students are going to be with us, and the staff feels more comfortable with the idea. So one of the reasons we are here and making this recommendation is that September allowed us time to refine our practices, get them better, and feel more confident that we can bring half the students back beginning next Monday if the board so chooses. So other reasons, though that can't be seen very well, on the right side is a state metric, just a suggestion, a guideline, and it talks about 2 pieces of data. One is the incident rate per 100,000, and, oh, I do have a pointer. If that rate is below 10, it falls into the low scale. Then there's a percent positive for those tested, and if that's below 5, it also falls in the low scale. And if both of those numbers, one below 10 and one below 5, there's a sliding scale of full in to blended or hybrid learning. This you can't see, but is 10 to 100, and I can't even see that as 5. Is that 5 to 10? Yes. So anyway, the present numbers in the county, according to the Commonwealth, is we have 40 per 100,000 incidents as of Monday, last Monday, and then the positive test rate is 3.6%, which puts us roughly in these two spots, which seems to correspond with the idea of blended hybrid learning. So according to the state, as one possible measure as to whether we are ready in the county as far as this particular metric, we seem to be in line with that. Neshamany's experience with positive cases. Way back in June, we had an employee, and to our knowledge, that was not spread at school or work. And then in September, the summer saw us with no cases, and then in September, we saw a number of employees and a number of students, and we saw no spread, and the most recent two have yet to come out of that window as far as whether it was spread at school. So we've had, at least so far, even though the virus has come into our buildings from being contracted, what we believe and what the Department of Health believes from outside, presently we do not have an indication of it being spread while students or staff are at school. Again, the caveat being we still have two within that window. So that has been our experience so far. Health, or the staff and materials, the health and safety materials, we can say are in. Things we've asked for have come. We seem to have backup supplies of them, so we're in good shape there. Instructional technology and materials, we are ready to go. We could be better. There are 2,000 Chromebooks out there somewhere on the way. In advancing our November plan to October, we would have liked to had some enhancements to that streaming available. It's been ordered. Hopefully we'll have it in short order, such as I don't know what to call them, podiums that the teachers can move around their classroom with the laptop on, possibly some add-on mics where we might have some audio problems. So that type of material, though we don't have it yet, it's not essential to health and safety. It's more an enhancement. The Shamany School District instructional and support staff, I can't say enough about these folks. The Neshaminy High School instructional certified staff is here, ready to go. We are in much better shape than many other districts, and the support staff is in a very similar position. As a matter of fact, our bus drivers and our transportation staff just work with the district to take time on Friday when they would not be using and driving their buses while the kids are at home, and willingly moved it to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to help us cover a shortfall in the middle of the day with elementary lunch and recess. So to the tune of 40 plus bus drivers, van drivers, and aides will join us for elementary lunch and recess if this is approved to supervise the kids. In addition to our certified staff continuing to move with every change in the plan. So I can't say enough about those folks. And I just mentioned the additional COVID support staff. We were unsuccessful in hiring additional lunch and cafeteria aides for a number of reasons, and that's where our support staff and bus drivers helped us out. We're going to make that same offer to those student day staff members who would work Friday without students to help us clean on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. We'll get to that in the next phase. So we seem to be in good shape there, with the exception of some enhancements within our technology plan. Excuse me. As far as the remote learning plan. As far as the remote learning plan, our virtual academy, we're seeing 90 students. This is a full asynchronous option. It is now completely customizable. If you didn't want your electives, then we're not going to give them to you. So you can make your own program there, and we've altered that if students would like to return, we will within a few days build that schedule and get them back to where they belong within their building. The new enhanced Neshaminy D11, that is, instead of losing your teacher and going to another Neshaminy teacher, students will remain with their existing teachers and classes. At the elementary level, they will live stream and/or synchronously learn the material Monday through Thursday, and they'll participate in the whole class Zoom on Friday. At the secondary level, very similar to that. We don't have an asynchronous plan for that group as yet. We'll see what's needed for them along the way. So not as designed, but it seems to have worked out at least the same, if not, in my opinion, slightly better, but depends on whose perspective you look at there. So what does October look like, which would have been November? Basically, if approved on Monday, October 5th, A to K, the blue team comes to school. Red learns through a live stream. Tuesday, you switch that. Wednesday, you switch it back. Thursday, you switch it back. And Friday, they all stay home and do a Zoom, and both classes are together. The following week at the elementary level, we will have both the live stream and the asynchronous Canvas option ready to go to provide parents both the choice. They don't have to make a commitment to it one way or the other, just in any given day, whatever is accessible, the live stream or the independent work along the way. Our little kids are really the most difficult group that need the in-person instruction, and we may have to look at that model when we think about bringing people back within the month of November at our next meeting. So the big picture, our decision point is here, whether we move or whether we enhance our present model. And the Cabinet is recommending not just moving to Plan B as it was designed, but to solve a number of problems. One, our Plan D problem, where we didn't have the staff, and at no fault to the staff at all, to support that, and also to increase our pacing so we can move our curriculum along. We're recommending Plan B, and when we advance the November synchronous option up to beginning in October. So that's where we are. That's the recommendation in front of you. And with everything else, as we move, we will improve. As individual families present circumstances that challenge them, we will do everything we can to customize to that individual family's needs. And I think we're doing that as good as, if not better, than any other district around. All right?
Thank you, Dr. McGee. That'll bring us to our first public comment period. When your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, the area you live in, and your occupation. It is very difficult to hear up here, so please spell your last name for the board secretary to record, and you have 3 minutes. Please refrain from any personal attacks. Mrs. Burns, call the first speaker, please.
Lauren Almond.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Almond. I live in Deepdale West. I'm a teacher. I teach at a private school in Elkins Park. I have 2 children in the district, one in 5th grade and one in 2nd grade. I want to thank everybody for the successful rollout of the Synchronous Fridays and for making orientation days, as my 2nd grader said, the best day ever. As a teacher who has been teaching in person with live stream students since the beginning of September, I have some concerns about starting hybrid learning with live streaming students. I want to be clear that I'm not anti-live streaming with students, but students and teachers need time to master the hybrid model before complicating matters with live streaming. Here are the reasons why. Student engagement, relationship building, and socialization should be the #1 priority of the hybrid classroom. No one knows how long students will actually be in school, so every second that you have them in front of you counts. Teachers should first be putting their energy into and attention into interacting with the students that are in front of them. From experience, it's not possible to meet a student's emotional needs while providing effective instruction when your attention is split. How can the teacher be paying attention to the safety of our students, including but not limited to social distancing, hand washing, and appropriate mask wearing, while they are teaching both live and online? Besides safety concerns, there will inevitably be technology problems that teachers will have to troubleshoot, which means that the students that are sitting in front of the teachers will not be attended to. This can lead to classroom disruptions that would be broadcast into homes of the live stream learners, which is a whole other set of issues. There are other ways that teachers can engage with the students on the days when they are online besides live streaming full-time. Live streaming students can be invited to morning meetings as a way of connecting with them as they start their asynchronous day. Also, daily and weekly check-ins could be worked in so students are seen and heard while not overwhelming the teachers. Another concern I have is overloading the teachers, which will directly impact our students. As a teacher in the current COVID environment, I understand the burden that teachers are being asked to shoulder. As per the September 29th district communication from Michelle Burkholder, students will also work independently in Canvas or on an assignment. Each teacher will provide students with the direction of the expectations of the asynchronous time each day. This means that teachers are being asked to execute 2 jobs at once, full-time in person with live stream students and remote learning teacher. Teachers in the Neshaminy School District get an unacceptable 4 preps a week. So will they be given extra time during the day to effectively execute both jobs for the good of our students? Who will be creating the curriculum for Canvas if the teachers are full-time in person and live streaming students into their classrooms? Will the curriculum that students are expected to complete independently coincide with what is being taught in the classroom, or will it be extra busy work that doesn't connect to the curriculum? Because if it's the latter, then the quality of my children's education will be even more in jeopardy than it already is. Students will be directly affected by the fact that their teacher will have less time to prepare. Is that 3 minutes? I can keep going. I have 2 paragraphs left. They'll have less time to prepare for in-person and synchronous Friday lessons because the teacher's energies will be split between them and the live stream students. By design, hybrid learning is meant to combine the best parts of face-to-face learning with online learning to maximize students' learning experience and potential. Asking teachers to jump right into teaching half of the curriculum online and half of it in person at the same time before mastering true hybrid learning does the exact opposite of this and will have negative effects on our students. Neshaminy either needs 2 separate teachers to provide effective instruction to all of our students, or teachers need more time for thoughtful planning to design a blend of synchronous and asynchronous learning where both students and teachers can be successful. In conclusion, I want to reiterate that I am not anti-live streaming into the classrooms, but I think that students and teachers need to be supported through the process. This includes not overwhelming students and teachers with both in-person teaching and live streaming right out of the gate. Teachers are working twice as hard to make half the difference during this time, and this will directly impact our children. How do you as a district, plan to support them? This is not a normal time, and the hybrid model needs to be rolled out correctly for both of the sakes of our teachers and our students. I urge you to allow students and teachers to master hybrid learning before adding in live streaming students into their classrooms. By supporting teachers during this time, you are directly supporting our children, which is the most important thing right now. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Craig Myers.
How you doing? My name is Craig Myers. I'm a teacher at Bucks County Technical High School. I have a 6th grader and a 4th grader in Neshaminy. I live in Sturbridge. First, I want to thank the board and the superintendent for the health and safety plan. I think it's a very well thought out plan. My only concern is the mask policy, which I know Dr. Medina didn't go over, but I saw it in there. The idea is that students are allowed to wear face shields in lieu of mask, and I think that is harmful to the community, to be honest with you. CDC, I'll read what it says right here. CDC does not recommend use of face shields for normal everyday activities as a substitute for mask. Additionally, the Department of Education policy clearly outlines face covering. And what it says a face covering is a covering of the nose and mouth that is secured to the head with ties, straps, or loops over the ears, or is wrapped around the lower face. Now, it does go on to say a face covering can be made of a variety of synthetic or natural fabrics, including cotton, silk, or linen, and for the purposes of this order, can include a plastic face shield. Now, I think that's where this interpretation is coming. I believe the word can include is stating it can be in addition to a mask. It's not saying in lieu of or in substitution. It's saying can include. And I know the Bucks County Health Department, they haven't updated their recommendation since June. So to me, that's invalid, because a lot has changed over the summer. As we know, with the virus, we're learning new things. I just am urging the board to create a strict mask policy to make it easier for the staff to really make it as safe as possible. I mean, we're all aware that this is not 100% safe, and I'm under no misguidance that there is 100%, but I would hope that we would make it as safe as possible that we know of. And that includes wearing a mask over the nose for the students. And I am aware that the state is allowing exceptions, but those medical exceptions would be through the IEP 504 process, so it doesn't need to be part of the policy, for students who may have sensory issues and things like that. So I don't feel like we should allow, just anybody choosing to wear just a face shield. I think that leaves us more vulnerable to spreading, which could ultimately affect the health plan that you've worked very hard on and spread throughout the community. So I hope you take a look at that and update that policy to really make it a lot safer for everybody in the buildings. Thank you.
Thank
Kim
you, Mr.
Gorman?
Myers.
Kim Gorman?
Good evening. My name is Kim Gorman. I live in Red Rose Gate. I forgot what else I'm supposed to tell you. I'm a lot of things. I am a substitute teacher, and I also run a practice with my husband in functional medicine. As an elementary special education teacher, a member of the PTO board at Walter Miller, and most importantly, a mom of 3 children in the district. I have 2 at Sandburg and 1 at Miller. I wear many hats, and this situation has affected each one of them. But in lieu of time, and I'm afraid to get cut off, I'm going to skip to, what was that? Okay. So, thank you. As a PTO board member, what is our role this year? I feel like we lost our purpose. School was not only about academics, it was also about socialization, sharing great experiences with the community, and the parent-teacher connection. There'll be a huge deficit this year. What effect will it have on them emotionally? Only time will tell. As an educator, I'm very empathetic. Teachers have been asked to take everything they have ever learned, experienced, practiced, and essentially throw it out the window and teach to it in a completely new way almost overnight. I want to back and second what Lauren had said about the hybrid model, which I also have in here, so I'm not going to reiterate that. I think it's a great idea on paper, but I think it's going to be really hard for someone to manage. I know I couldn't focus on 2 different entities at the same time. My most important hat is the mom hat. My 3 children, 4th, 6th, and 8th graders, have suffered the most. This situation has hit them in all different ways, but all of them are not learning. My 8th grader is independent. She doesn't complain, but doesn't feel like she's learning anything new except for Spanish because this is the first time she's had it. My 4th grader is barely plugging along, and my 6th grader is failing miserably. All 3 are suffering emotionally in a big way. They are more irritable, they're very impatient, they're not eating and sleeping well, they have not seen many, if any, of their friends, and it's a nightmare all around. I see their personalities changing. They're not the same kids that were thriving pre-COVID. Here's some words from my 6th grade son he wanted me to share. As an online school student, I wanted to write something to express how I believe all students feel at the moment about how I think of online school. I think it is not good for anyone due to, first, you sit on a computer all day and then go do it again the next day. Every day that I wake up, I don't even think about online school. I think about living my life like a summer day because I can't keep track of having work every day on a laptop. Because of this, I have fought more with my parents, my siblings, because I'm never happy anymore. So the way that we are feeling is sadness, anger, frustration, because we can't see our friends, and if we go back, we can't get close to them. We haven't seen our teachers, yet when we get back, we can't hug them. Some people can't even see their own family because they're worried they will make them sick when they're not even sick. At the same time, they say that the chance that a kid gets COVID is very, very, very low, yet we are unsafe to be near each other. We are unsafe to be who we are. We are unsafe when we want to be happy. This pandemic, they call it, is an overstatement, but it has taken more away from kids than anyone on this planet. So what is my point? I have several. First, these kids need to be in school, but in school as they remember it every day. They need to fool around with their friends, work in cooperative groups, do science projects, hands-on activities, circle time, play tag, kickball, recess. Go on field trips, put on a play, do what kids do. They have been locked up essentially for 6 months, and they have been taught to fear everyone. Lastly, the dreaded mask. I know this is an extremely controversial and volatile subject. However, the evidence supporting masks is very weak, and a direct effect on transmission has never been observed in any study. Unfortunately, we are the study. I am happy to provide documented research upon request. There are already reports of children in private schools coming home with headaches, nosebleeds, and rashes from wearing them all day. Why is it that we can sit at a table in a restaurant without a mask, yet they cannot sit at a desk without one? My kids have not worn a mask but for maybe 5 minutes when going into a restaurant. They're very anxious when they see the sea of masks everywhere. They didn't go to orientation because of that, and frankly, I'm adamantly against them, obviously, especially for children. I believe there should be a choice. If parents want their children to wear them and they believe that they work, then they should choose to do so. I have, again, done extensive research and do not see the necessity, especially all day. Furthermore, at minimum, they should never be worn during any type of physical activity. That being said, I have given my children the choice of whether they want to return to school when the jury is still out. My biggest fear is not COVID. It is the fact that the emotional state of my children, and I'm sure many other children everywhere, have been greatly affected, and I am not sure if they will ever recover. The damage is deep, and if we do not provide them with not only the education they deserve, but the emotional connection they need, there will be consequences far greater than a virus. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jessica Kerr.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Jessica Kerr. I want to thank the 3 previous speakers. They made a lot of great points, and it was good to hear things from their point of view. I feel a little bit out of my element right now. I don't do too much public speaking, so I'm just going to stand up here as a parent and speak from the heart. I have 2 kids in Carl Sandburg Middle School, a 6th grader and an 8th grader. And I'm here speaking tonight because virtual learning is not going well in my house whatsoever. I mean, the late night tears, the stress, the battles, my son is not handling it well at all. It's very, very difficult for kids who got through about a third of last year to come in and learn new curriculum and content. Basically, teach themselves. This is not a dig on teachers at all or anyone in the Shamany. I think everybody is handling it phenomenally. The teachers are wonderful, which is why 14 years ago, my husband and I fought like crazy to purchase a house in this district. I'm just asking you to please vote to reopen these schools. The sooner the better, so that the kids can get back on track and make it matter again. Just make being a part of the Shamany matter again. I'm desperate here, and I feel like the kids are kind of being cheated out of an education right now. I mean, the whole community, the entire district. I feel like kids need to get back on track. The longer they go on virtual learning, the further they're going to fall behind, the harder it is to catch up. I mean, I don't think that's good for an entire community of kids to be falling behind. So that's all I have to say. I want to thank you. Please vote to reopen these schools immediately. The sooner the better. Many, many parents are desperate for it to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nobody else signed up.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. All right, that brings us to Section 4, Routine Matters. I'd like to make a master's motion for 4.01 minutes, 4.02 Treasurer's Report, 4.03 Check, Register, and Procurement Card Purchases, 4.04 Bids, 4.05 Investments, 4.06 Exonerations. A motion's been made. May I have a second?
Second.
second by Mrs. Bowman. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Section 5.01, revised leaves of absences. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following revised leave of absences of administrative staff. There is one item, Joanne Holland, principal of Pequessing Middle School. Motion's been made. May I have a second? Second by
Second.
Mr. Sullivan. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Section 5.02, Administrative Appointments. Be it resolved that the Shamany Board of School Directors hereby approves the following appointments of administrative staffs. Michael Cochran, replacing Tim Hunt as acting Vice Principal at Pequessing Middle School. Motion's been made. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kovitz. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0.
Mr. Parentano, if I may interrupt you for a second?
Yes, you will.
Mr. Cochran, escorted by Acting Principal Hunt, are in the back of the auditorium. I'd like to say congratulations, Mr. Cochran.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Brings us to Section 6.01. Mrs. Boyle, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 6.01, which is the reopening of school health and safety plan, the move to the blue-red hybrid model. Whereas the Neshaminy School District is required by the Pennsylvania Department of Education to approve a reopening of schools' health and safety plan, and whereas the phased reopening plan is on September 8th, begin Plan C, online instruction through October 2nd. On October 5, begin Plan B, which is the blue-red hybrid, and conditions permitting on November 2nd to begin Plan A, all in. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the Neshaminy School District reopening health and safety plans, move to the blue-red hybrid model on Monday, October 5, as presented, subject to any changes necessary due to conditions and additional guidance from the applicable government agencies in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. Motion's been made. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by, who was that? Mr. Allen. Thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Back to school we go. Six 6.02, Mrs. Bowman, please.
Motion 6.02, Title I Planning Revisions. Whereas a list of designated Neshaminy schools, including the federal Title I program, was approved at the August 18, 2020 public meeting, and whereas Tawaka Elementary School was included in the list of Title I schools in the October 18, 2020 board motion, and whereas subsequent to the August 18, 2020 approval, Neshaminy was notified that the Tawaka Elementary School no longer qualifies as a Title I school. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the removal of Tawaka Elementary School from the list of Title I approved schools.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowman. A motion's been made. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. Any comments, questions, or concerns on this item? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Section 6.03, Mr. Marrington, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Section 6.03, an amendment to the NSD Athletics, Health, and Safety Plan. Whereas on June 23rd, 2020, the Neshaminy School District approved its health and safety plan for sports and extracurricular activities, and whereas the board wishes to permit limited indoor and outdoor gatherings at sporting events as outlined in the Athletic Health and Safety Plan, now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves an amendment to the Neshaminy School District Athletics Health and Safety Plan, permitting spectators, subject to the appropriate health guidelines, for the following fall sports: tennis, golf, soccer, cross country, field hockey, volleyball, and football.
Thank you, Mr. Marrington. A motion's been made. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cirillo. Any comments, questions, or concerns on this item? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Sullivan, 7.01, please.
Leaves of absence. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following leaves of absence for certified staff. And there's 10 individuals listed on this.
Motion's been made. May I have a second? Second by Mrs. Boyle. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. 7.02, Mr. Sullivan.
Revised returns from leave. Resolved that the Shamany Board of School Directors hereby approves the following revised returns from leaves of absence for certified staff, and there's 7 individuals listed on this list.
Motion's been made on 7.02. May I have a second? Second by
Second.
Mr. Cirillo. I didn't think you could do that. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Kovitz, 7.03, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 7.03, certificated staff appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy School, Neshaminy Board School of Directors, Board of School Directors hereby approves the following appointments for certificated staff. There's a list of 8 names.
Motion's been made on 7.03. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Kovitz, 7.04, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 7.04, co-curricular appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following co-curricular appointments for support staff, subject to the following conditions. In the event the activity is canceled for any reason, including acts of God or pursuant to an order by the Governor or Pennsylvania Secretary of Health, prior to the commencement, the coach advisor will receive no compensation, and/or in the event that the activity has commenced and then canceled for any reason, including acts of God or pursuant to an order by the Governor or Pennsylvania Secretary of Health, the coach advisor shall receive pro rata compensation for the period of services rendered. And there are 9 names mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Kovitz. A motion's been made. May I have a second? Second by Mr. Sullivan. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. 7.05, Mr. Allen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bertano. I'd like to bring a motion to the table for approval for 7.05 ancillary appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following ancillary appointments This is a individual for the Department Chair, Tech Ed at the Neshaminy High School.
Motion's been made on 7.05. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Mrs. Hollenbach, 8.01, please.
Steve, I don't have it out in front of me to read.
All righty, no problem. Irene, could you read 8.01, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 8.01, which is retirement, resignations, end of assignments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following retirement, resignation of support staff, and there are nine names listed.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. Motion's been made on 8.01. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hollenbach. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Mrs. Boyle, can you do 8.02, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 8.02, leaves of absence. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following leaves of absence of support staff. And there are, I think, 7 names. No, there's 15. There's 15 names.
Total of 15 names. Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. Motion's been made on 8.02. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Mrs. Boyle, 8.03.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 8.03, return from leave of absence. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following return leaves of absence of support staff, and there is 1 name listed.
Thank you. Motion been made in 8.03. May I have a second? Second by Mr. Cirillo. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Cirillo, 8.04, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 8.04, revised return from leave. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following revised returns from leave of absence of support staff. There are 8 names listed.
Thank you. A motion's been made on 8.04. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Cirillo, 8.05, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 8.05, support staff appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following appointments of support staff. And there are 15 names listed.
Motion's been made on 8.05. May I have a second? I'll second it on 8.05. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Sullivan, would you read 9.01, please?
9.01, purchase of Forecast 5 analytic software. Whereas the Forecast 5 software is an analytic software tool to assist in developing annual and multi-year budgets, providing model scenarios and statewide analytical comparisons. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the license agreement to acquire Forecast 5 for the district's business office in the amount of $14,560.13 for the 2021 school year.
A motion's been made on 9.01. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Boyle. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes 9-0. 9.02, Mr. Sullivan.
Ameriprise Financial Approval is investment broker. Whereas the Neshaminy School District wishes to invest district funds to obtain a higher rate of return, and whereas Ameriprise Financial is the institution proposed to provide such service, now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves Ameriprise Financial to collaborate with the district's business office to create an investment ladder structure of not more than 60 months.
Motion's been made on 9.02. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes 9-0. 9.03, Mr. Allen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Catano. I'd like to bring a motion to the table for approval. 9.03, Guaranteed Energy Savings Act Tawanka Project. The acceptance of the proposal. Whereas the Neshaminy Board of School Directors desires to move forward with the Guaranteed Energy Savings Project as it relates to the installation of indoor air quality improvements utilizing bipolar ionization and/or ultraviolet germicidal irradiation for its facilities at Tawanka Elementary School at 2055 Brownsville Road, Langhorne, PA, 19053. And whereas on September 8th, 2020, the Neshaminy Board of School Directors approved the appointment of Reynolds Energy Services, Inc. for the project. And whereas the Neshaminy Board of School Directors approves Reynolds Energy Services, Inc. to provide all necessary services, including construction upgrades related to the installation of energy-efficient indoor air quality improvements utilizing bipolar ionization and/or ultraviolet germicidal irradiation for the project. And whereas this GIZA work will be provided as recommended in the presentation to the full board at its public board meeting on July 28th, 2020, and in accordance with the scope authorized by the board following the presentation. Whereas Reynolds Energy Services, Inc. has performed the required investment grade audit for the project, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors accepts the proposal from Reynolds Energy Services, Inc. in the lump sum amount of, is that 100? What is? $184,811 relative to the project with energy savings guaranteed under PA Act 39, 57, and 77 guidelines. Be it further resolved that the President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, Solicitor, and Administration of the school district are hereby authorized and directed on behalf of the school district and under its corporate seal to execute the contract, subject to review and approval by the solicitor and administration, and such other documents and affidavits, and to take such further action as may be required by law and necessary or desirable to effectuate the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. A motion's been made on 9.03. May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by, is that Mr. Cirillo or?
Mr. Stroll.
What? It was Mr. Cirillo? Okay, by Mr. Cirillo. Don't hear too good out of the right ear. The left ear is better. All in favor? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Comments, questions, or concerns? I'd like to just add some commentary. By adding Tawanka to this GIZA program, we will now have secured this germicidal and germicidal bipolar irradiation and germicidal irradiation to all our schools now. The original scope of this project was estimated at $2.4 million. The final cost for all schools involved will be just under $2 million. I want to appreciate again our vendor Reynolds for working with us and helping us to design a system that falls within our affordability and is going to not only provide a better environment to deal with the health concerns surrounding COVID, but also during any normal school year, of the regular cold and flu season, plus just providing a better all year round air environment in our schools. Already, all the schools have been already retrofitted with the other part of the plan, which was to upgrade the filtration in each schools and increase the outside air dampening into each schools to also help improve the overall air quality. This project is starting immediately and is hoped to be fully completed in all our schools by the end of November, early December. So I just want to state that I believe this project is well worth it, and I ask for the board's approval. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes 9-0. That'll bring us to other board business. Do any members have any other board business they want to bring above in front of the board? Hearing none. This will bring us to our second portion of public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to approach the podium and add public comment this evening? Seeing none, I do have a public comment, a letter sent to the board by a resident that wishes it to be read. This resident's name is Michael Schumacher. I believe they're a resident of the Langhorne area of the school, and they have small children in our school district. Dear Dr. McGee, Mr. Paritano, and board members, please accept this as my public comment to the board on Wednesday, as I may not be able to attend due to other obligations. I am writing to relay my support for the most recent proposal from Dr. McGee for the reopening of the Shamany schools. I've opted for Plan D at this time so that I can see if the safety measures in the school are actually working. The sooner we move to a hybrid model, the sooner I can see if they are working, and the sooner I can feel comfortable sending my daughter back to school. This plan allows families that choose to take the wait-and-see approach to not miss out. I saw a big smile on my daughter's on Friday during the synchronous learning, and I expect to see more smiles the more she does synchronous learning 5 days a week. This is the plan I wish had been set up from the beginning. However, I understand the difficulties in finding a plan that works for everyone. I do have some concerns regarding the technical capabilities of the teachers in the classrooms to implement this plan. Will teachers be wearing microphones so remote students can clearly hear them, or will they be stuck in front of their computers in the classroom? I'm more than willing to volunteer to work with my daughter's teacher to see what works and what doesn't, so that there be more time learning during the day and less time spent doing, "Can you hear me now?" If possible, please address what happens if a school must temporarily close due to multiple COVID cases. Will teachers still work from the building, or will they have to work from home too? Will working from home affect the ability to continue synchronous learning during a shutdown? Signed, Mr. Michael Schumacher. Have that entered into the record. There was also another comment, and I'm sorry I do not have the person's name in front of me. They wanted to know if we could address elementary opt-out for parents, those that are not willing to return for in-person instruction. Last, Dr. McGee, during our board comment period, if he could address those concerns specifically, which now brings us to board comment, and this time, as reminded by Mr. Cirillo, Dr. McGee, would you please address the board?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Parentano. Just try to see if I can answer some questions from some of the public comment. The goal of the entire reopening plan is to reopen fully. And we weren't able to do that in September for a number of reasons. And one of them was the perspective of people. So the design of the plan has always been to let's demonstrate that we can do it, and if we can't, we will be the first to know it. So the month of September was the triability phase of things. We brought kids in, we built their confidence, we built their parents' confidence, we built the staff's confidence that what we said we could do, we can do. October is no different than September. We're going to try it again with 4 times, 5 times as many kids than those orientation days. And assuming we can do it, and assuming things stay good in the community, then we can move to the next step. So we can't stop. We can't stop the vigilance, both in school to protect ourselves, but also what goes on at home. If we want to get our kids back to school, we as a community have to make sure that the incidence of the virus stays low in the community. As that raises, it brings more into our school and more chance that it's spread when we bring students together. So as long as we're all pulling in the same direction, that our goal is to get students back into school, October is just the next test that allows us to demonstrate that we can do it with half the students and allows the community to demonstrate that we can keep the virus in check within the community so we can potentially move to the next phase. So as long as we're all on the same page and keep pulling in that same direction, it's beyond just what we do in school to be able to keep schools open. It's what you do everywhere that'll help us keep schools open. Some comments about, need my glasses. What happens if we have to close school? What happened in March is not the prevailing thinking from healthcare providers and public health officials now. When there's a case of COVID that comes into the school, we close schools. The idea is, if that happens, are our health and safety and minimize the number of actual cases that are out there and come into school, then we're doing our job. Closing of schools would take a significant event. One, a large group of people, whether it be students or staff, or a by the governor. I could choose to close schools just like a snow day or a snow week or whatever, and then the board could act on that when it had time. If that were to happen, we would switch back to the model we're in right now, probably with more synchronous learning. That's one of the designs, to be able us to move from any of those three models in short notice. The other part of the design is to allow individual families to move from those four models, from the opt-out model to in-school model in short notice as well. Finally, I just want to point out that as many bad things that are happening, and there really are, there are some silver linings. Our elementary staff in March, working with Michelle Burkholder, began a team building process that has come into its own, where they're designing lessons across 6 buildings together in different content areas, where we can say that the Neshaminy curriculum and lesson planning is consistent, grade K through 4 across 6 buildings. And that really is a positive. And using that structure that's in place, we're going to be able to provide our elementary teachers support as far as the instruction that they're given, both while they're streaming and while they're responsible for asynchronous learning. It's our hope, and again, things evolve almost daily. What you saw today has evolved since it was actually written and designed. There are plans in place to support those teachers, to take some of the for lack of a better word, mechanics of what they have to do to get something in Canvas away from them and allow others to do it, or they can just do the instructional design part. So we are looking for ways to support teachers, particularly at the elementary level. There is some discussion in the works for a Friday, some type of reduction in the size of the school day of the synchronous learning, to provide both time for students to go get support from teachers because they're free, and at the same time give teachers a way to breathe, begin to develop lessons, and learn more about the new environment that they are in. So those plans are in the works as well. And there's one more question, but I honestly can't read my notes. Oh, Microphones. We have not, those are the things that we wish we had in the technology area for our November plan that was just approved for October 5. So we will assess that. I know I saw a prototype moving around the district today. So if that's necessary, while we won't have them on Monday, we will have them at some point to be able to enhance that. And with everything we do, we continue to try to improve it constantly. And then also try to meet every family where they are. So if our plan is not working for you, approach us. We will figure out what we can do better to try to make it work for you. The idea is to individualize as best as we can because everyone's circumstances are completely different in these particular times. Mr. Parentano, I think that's all unless you can think of anything else that I've missed.
I was wondering if either you or Mrs. Burkholder could address the speakers that were concerned about, I guess it was the multitasking environment with the live stream and
Yes.
in-person instruction.
Yes. So the design of that would be that those in school would get the primary attention. Those at home would be asked to interact at a particular time. All right. So and we're not designating the time to 600 teachers. It's when they would think best. So I'm a math teacher by trade. I would probably with those kids in front of me as they were working on a warm up, I would go to my computer and interact with those kids on the computer, see what I could do. Then I'd have them shut themselves down so they didn't cause any mischief. They'd watch as I interact with those in class. Somewhere in the middle of class, I'd probably pause and say, while you guys are doing this, I'm going to talk to them. Same thing, repeat at the end of class. So it wouldn't be free, it's not free interaction. I don't know that I could do that. I'm not asking them to do that yet. But we are asking them for designated times when they can assign something meaningful within the class for a short period and then move to that computer to be able to address those there.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. At this time, I'd like to move the board comment. Mrs. Bowman.
I don't usually speak, so you're going to have to, I have a whole page of notes to go through, so bear with me.
Good, go. Take your time. Go right ahead.
Sorry. First of all, I want to say welcome back, Neshaminy. Welcome back. I'm very excited that we're getting started, that we're starting somewhere. I hear everybody's concerns. I would like to address some of them. Also wanted to thank the administration for the exceptional planning and consideration of just about every scenario that a parent has brought up. Doc McGee and Ms. Burkholder and the whole cabinet really has taken that into consideration when coming up with this model for our students. Thank you for the bus drivers that offered to come in on a Friday rather than take a day off and work our lunches. So thank you for stepping up. That is going to be very helpful, and your assistance is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Just to go over, and I hear Ms. Almond's concerns. I am too a public school teacher. I've been online teaching synchronously from 8:30 in the morning until 3:09. It is awful. I can tell you I do not feel that my kids are getting the valued education that they deserve, my students, and that's why I am so excited that we are moving to this hybrid model. It can be a rigorous curriculum-aligned instruction, even the kids that are viewing from home. I asked a lot of questions of Doc McGee throughout this process to make sure that that was something that was happening. It's hard because we have to consider up here, Doc McGee had to consider not just an overall Neshaminy model, but a model that would appease everybody. And it was very difficult, and I think he did a very good job doing that. Ms. Burkholder has been working very closely with the teachers and planning. She's taken into consideration that social, emotional learning piece, so I don't want you to think that that has been forgotten. Teachers are taking time to build relationships with their students in Neshaminy. So the social, emotional learning is not something that is being overlooked. Mr. Myers, I hear you. That has been a huge concern of mine. It is my recommendation to parents, and although it is not a part of our safety plan, is worded differently, as an emergency responder, I would encourage you not to send your kid with just a face shield. If they want to wear the face shield, they should also have a mask on as well. And then, Ms. Carr, I hope you're happy. We are opening. I hear your frustration, as I've heard a lot of parents, having the kids at home. They really need to get out and start interacting with their peers. One thing I am going to ask is that the Neshaminy community give us cooperation and their commitment to do the right thing in this hybrid model. If you suspect that you have been exposed, please stay home and get a test. This will help slow spread and exposure to other students and staff members, and we don't want to risk having a partial shutdown in the future. So please, please, please give us your commitment and your cooperation in doing so, and welcome back, everybody.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowman. Mrs. Boyle?
Yes, I'd like to thank Dr. McGee and Ms. Burkholder, for getting us to the point that we are. I'm sure that everybody is glad that we are going back. And I also wanted to make a really pitch for wearing the face mask. I think it's terribly important. Whether the shield is added to that, but I'm a big advocate of the face masks, so that we can all stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. Mr. Kovitz, please.
Yeah. So we've all thanked Doc McGee and the cabinet and the teachers in the past, and they continue to do wonderful things for this community. I wanted to thank the parents this evening. I too am a parent. I have a senior in high school at the moment, and I've had two others that have been through the school district. I too am an educator as well. I teach at a tech school, so Mr. Mayor, I can understand where you're coming from, and Ms. Almond as well. So it's not an easy time for anyone, and it's not ideal. It's not going to be ideal until we have everybody coming back to school full time, and we can all put this entire episode behind us. But as we struggle to find something that is the best, it requires an immense amount of intestinal fortitude. And so thank you to all the parents that have had to put up with a lot. We've seen a lot of emails. We've seen a lot of people on various sides. I've always erred on the side of caution, and I will continue to do so, hence my not being there in person this evening. But please understand that I did also want to thank Dr. Damsker from the county. Fortunately, not every county in Pennsylvania has a Dr. Damsker. He and I had a conversation earlier today. I had a lot of questions for him. He certainly helped put my mind at ease, and with which I was able to make what I thought was a good decision tonight in approving the hybrid model moving forward. I like his approach. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think the data is there to support it, and so please, parents, if you, I think this speaks also to Ms. Bowman's comment. This is a continued type of an effort on all of our parts. We will continue to do what we can on our end to ensure that our kids get back to school and get back to a meaningful education. All we ask is that you play along with us and help us in keeping your kids safe. If they're sniffling at all, unlike before, we say, hey, they don't have a fever, send them to school. Just don't send them in. Don't take any chances. Please err on the side of caution. I know it's not convenient. None of this is convenient for any of us. But again, I appreciate you I appreciate you allowing us to go through our learning curve on this as well. It will make us a much stronger district in the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kovitz. Mr. Marrington.
Also, I'm going to echo again my thanks to, Dr. McGee and his cabinet and the teachers and the parents and the whole Neshaminy community here. I'm also a former teacher myself, and I fully appreciate Lauren Allman's comment about teacher overload. In my current life, I'm still coaching, I have the opportunity to talk at length with teachers from 4 or 5 local school districts, private schools. I see them regularly. Several of them have been in a hybrid situation now for a week or more. And what you're afraid of, I hear from teachers. They're stressed. They're up until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. hearing from students, trying to answer emails, trying to do synchronous learning, and also keep up with the Canvas. But on the positive side, they're all doing it. And they're doing it pretty darn well, I think. What I hear from many of them, in fact, all of them, but especially those who have young children of their own, this is not maintainable. I cannot keep this up for week after week after week. Please don't make us do this. And the way we're going to get out of making teachers and administrators and all of us do this is by wearing our masks, by following the CDC guidelines, by washing our hands regularly, and please don't send kids to school who have any symptoms. I'll just leave it at that. But again, thank you for everybody's cooperation at this point. Let's have a great opening to the school year on Monday.
Thank you, Mr. Marrington. Mr. Cirillo, please.
The school board members who have spoken previously have echoed all of my sentiments. I greatly appreciate their thoughts. They were well thought out on their part. I just want to make a comment. I've had some interactions with teachers over the last few weeks because I have 2 children in the high school, and I will tell you that, and some other parents had some issues that had to be addressed with teachers. They're doing a fantastic job. They really care. They're going above and beyond. The same thing with Dr. McGee and his administration. I'm really happy with the kind of people that we have working here. Mrs. Bowman mentioned it, the bus drivers stepping up, helping with the lunches with elementary. I think we have a really good community here. I think it's pretty much a family atmosphere. This is a great school district, and in this extreme set of circumstances, everybody's all pulling in the same direction. And I'm very excited to have our kids going back to school, giving parents the option. I'm just very pleased with how everything is moving in this time and age. So thank you again, Dr. McGee, and everybody, all the teachers, staff, and support staff.
Thank you, Mr. Cirillo. Mr. Sullivan?
I really have nothing to add that hasn't already been said, so I will turn my time to Mr. Puritano.
Mr. Allen, please.
Good evening, folks. I just have a couple things. As everyone else has spoken about the job that our administration and staff have done, I want to point out that, in our facility committee meeting not too long ago, a couple weeks back, we had a pretty full explanation of what goes on as far as the cleaning of the buildings, the classroom, the hallways, the buses, and I think we were all pretty impressed and satisfied that we're doing everything that we can do to prepare those, the buildings and the buses for our children returning. I'm looking forward to getting the kids back. I know they, the parents I've spoken to, the children that I've had an opportunity to interact with through their parents when I've walked in, met them in the neighborhood, I find it interesting. Kids go through the entire summer, they come up to fall, and they're oh, geez, I got to go back to school. That's not going on this year. They can't wait to get back in. And, I think under the circumstances, it's not so, it's sad that that's how they feel, but I understand why they feel that way now. They do feel cooped up, and they want to get back in, and that's a good sign. And I also wanted to add, for what it's worth, a personal note. I was with a family a couple weekends ago, and I had, I have relatives and students in other districts. I have relatives who are teachers in other districts, and not throwing any other districts under the bus. We're all up against it. But when I was, because we were interacting and talking about what they're doing, what we're doing, we came out a winner. Yes, we were on top. What we're doing met approval, and gee, I wish I was doing that. In particular, my relative who's a teacher, I had asked him, I said, how can you possibly, in their hybrid model, how can you be the kids in front of you and the kids? And he said, well, I really can't. And when you came up with, began discussing the evolution of the hybrid, turning the thing around, and I said, well, that's the solution. And none of the solutions are ideal, but it's a step in the right direction, and these, I'm sure, will be tweaked and will continue to evolve until hopefully to the point where no longer necessary and we can get everybody back into the school building. So I wanted to point that out. I also want to thank the support staff. What we heard about the bus drivers stepping up to cover cafeteria, and I think that's fantastic. I'm not surprised. That's part of our community. I echoed, Dr. McGee's thanks to them, and the board appreciates it. I want to bring a quick update on the tech board. We had our meeting last evening. I would normally give you a full. I would give you. Sorry, wheels on the chair. Yeah, I don't want to give a full report. I will at our next, public work meeting. But I did want to point out that the tech school is on track to go back October 13th, also in a hybrid model, with their 25% hybrid model. That's part of the rotation. That's how that works out. And I also wanted to point out that we have 317 in the senior class, 317 students, that's the tech school, and 406 freshmen entering. And I, now think that's a good sign, that tech is alive, well, and an asset to the community, and students are choosing that path as well. And that's really all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen, and I want to thank Mr. Sullivan again for granting me his time. I don't know if we'll be happy about that. Seriously, though, welcome back, Neshaminy. I can't tell you how happy I am to be a part of this board that unanimously supported this administration's plan to move us back to a partial in-person model. Our kids need it. As everyone on this board has spoken about, just from an emotional, social point of view, they need to be in school. I am quite confident in the plan that has been put together by Dr. McGee and his staff, the entire Neshaminy community, our teachers, our support staff, all have put together a great plan. It's a fantastic plan. The letters that we have received constantly continue to evolve, and with every plan we do here at Neshaminy, we never ever put a pin in it and along the way until we get through all the different steps and iterations to make sure it fits as many people as it fits. And I'm sure there'll even be more refinements, but I think where we're currently at is going to take care of 95, 97%, of our students, and for those others, we'll find a way to make it work. But this plan will not work if we do not have the support of parents at home. As stated by the other board members, if you send your child to school knowing that they have an illness, whether it is just a regular, sickness, or whether it could be COVID, it's the part of the plan that we cannot control. The success of this plan is dependent upon our parents doing the right thing, and I know you will do the right thing, but we just have to continue to push that point forward, because I know the amount of inconvenience it is for parents now to have to rearrange their entire schedule, whether it be work or other obligations, so they could be at home with especially their younger children, to learn online. And for right now, it's only going to be 2 days a week where they're going to be in school. But even on those 2 days, it is not worth risking the health and safety of not only your own child, but the other children and staff that are in the school by sending your child to school if you suspect or know that they have an illness. Please, please, please keep them home. Consult your physician. If you suspect they need a test, tests are very available now. You can go to the Minute Clinics, the CVS, your own physician. Whatever you can do to help stop the spread is highly, highly important. To the gentleman that spoke about the masks, as well as the woman that spoke about not having the mask. Currently, we are following the guidance of the Bucks County Department of Health. Bucks County Department of Health recommends a mask. That's what we are asking all students to do. Parents, send your children to school with a mask. Bucks County commissioners have provided to all school districts face shields, which I believe the district has distributed those face shields to our students, and we appreciate that. We would highly appreciate if you choose to wear both a shield and a mask. But we also do understand, as the gentleman pointed out, there are students that do have sensory issues, and wearing a mask for them is not going to be an option. And we have to deal with that, and we'll do our best to mitigate that situation. But we do prefer that parents send their children to school with a mask. And we hope that the majority of parents will. And for those students that have sensory issues, anxiety issues, that masks we'll find a solution to make it so that everybody is safe within the school environment. This is not ideal. We put together a great plan, but it's not the ideal plan. The ideal plan is getting back to traditional in-person education. And by everybody doing the right thing, hopefully that's the model we'll be moving to in November. So I appreciate, the fact that we're getting started, but let's do our best to make sure we don't have to go backwards, that we continue moving towards that ultimate goal. I don't want to forget our new assistant principal at Pequessing, Mr. Cochran, for being tonight. Welcome to the administrative team. We look forward to seeing what you can do for our community and our students. It's great to have you aboard. And I also want to thank, as Mr. Kovitz did, Dr. Damster at the Bucks County Department of Health. I've spoken to him many times, including this today before we had this meeting. And I am very confident in his guidance and the protocols that he and Dr. McGee have worked out and instituted within our schools for a safe opening. In closing, as Mr. Allen had mentioned, we had a recent facilities meeting. We were in Fertibar Elementary, and I just want to say that school is spotless. Our support staff, fantastic job in that building. I'm sure all the other buildings are the same. I haven't had a chance recently to be in the other buildings, but Fertibar was just spotless. It was in great shape. Again, thank you all. To our parents, welcome back. Let's have a great opening, and Monday let's hit it and keep going. And with that, a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Excuse me. May I have a second? Second by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming out.